Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à ce nouvel épisode de Chroniques carolingiennes. Voilà quelques mois, mon ami cinéaste Richard Stanley a écrit un livre sur ses expériences mythiques, mais je pourrais aussi dire mystiques, au cœur de la zone. Cette fameuse zone dont je vous ai déjà parlé se situe en France, au sud-est de l'Occitanie, et demeure une région empreinte de légendes et de sombres mystères. Richard, toujours aussi volubile, a bien voulu nous parler de ce qui l'avait amené à écrire ce livre, qui évoque tout autant la quête du Graal, les cathares et l'apparition de certaines entités qui entraient des lieux particuliers. Pour ceux qui cherchent un lien avec la série Chroniques carolingiennes, je vous réfère à la fin de l'épisode 4, soit celui de l'entrevue que j'avais fait en 2024 avec ce dernier. Et ce lien se résume en un mot: l'inspiration. Pour ce qui est de cette nouvelle entrevue, c'est du haut de la montagne sacrée de Montségur, dans la forteresse des hérétiques, que j'ai laissé l'avant-scène à Richard pour qu'il nous parle de son livre Otto Rhan, Grail Hunter, The Secret of the Cathars and the Return of the White Lady. L'entrevue sera suivie de la lecture d'un extrait du livre, sans oublier de vous faire une petite visite du château. Alors je vous laisse au bon soin de Richard Stanley. At the top of the Holy Mountain to talk about the new book of Richard Stanley, The Grail Hunter. So first of all, thanks Richard for having us here in this extraordinary place.
Well, it's always a real pleasure to be here, sir. I do believe that this is my favourite place on earth, my real place of predilection, exactly where I'm sitting right now, on the front wall of the castle of Montségur.
I know there's a lot of dark and strange secret with this place, and I would like to know why did bring you here initially?
Well, I came here initially on a mission. I was sent here back in the summer of 1990. I was working as a researcher for Channel 4 television in the United Kingdom. And I'd been hired to research a documentary show on the real-life backstory behind Raiders of the Lost Ark, which meant uncovering the truth behind whether or not the Nazis had been looking for these various talismanic power objects, the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Longinus, and the Holy Grail back in the 1930s and in the war years. So I had the good fortune in the summer of 1990 to have an all-expenses-paid research trip to Europe to try and get to the bottom of these stories. And at this point came across the story of Otto Rhan, the principal Grail historian, Grail knight to Heinrich Himmler's Black Order. And Otto, of course, believed that where we're sitting now, Montségur, was synonymous with Mont Salvache, the Grail castle of Parsifal. So in order to check out Otto's claims for myself, I came to Montségur and came here.
We have to say that that's in the part of the legend of the Round Table of King Arthur. Is that it?
To an extent. I mean, I think at the beginning, the Arthurian myth and the Grail myth might have been two separate myths that met and got blended into each other. Quite where the Grail myth begins, we don't know, because it's way back in oral tradition and before the coming of Christianity. It was the Holy Roman Church that basically appropriated the Grail symbol and made it into a relic, of course, because they love relics, into the cup of Christ. But there was a Grail floating around long before Christ was ever a twinkle in Mary's eye.
Okay. Would you say in a way that your last book, it's kind of the field note of your documentary, Sacred Glory and The Other World?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did manage to shoot 2 documentaries along the way. The documentary that Channel 4 Television initially set out to make never got made. But thanks to the fact that all of the principal witnesses kept dying and are all dead now, because there's simply nobody left anymore in the 21st century who's old enough to have been in a command position in World War II. So I went out in 1998, interviewed as many of them as possible, which was the only way to get them on record and on camera. And Grail Hunter certainly it could be seen as the field notes to Secret Glory, back in 1998, but it runs on beyond that, because of course that was a long time ago now, and since then, another 27 years have passed, and numerous events took place after the shooting of Secret Glory that continued to change my understanding of Montségur.
I know your book, it's pretty much on Otto Rhan, Grail Hunter, but at the same time, you introduce some kind of, I can say, entity that's really strong here, which is the White Lady. Can you talk to me a little bit more about, let's say, this kind of energy, or even from the legend, ghost that is linked to this place?
Well, I would probably back away from maybe calling her a ghost or an energy, because I don't believe that she's dead. I think that she lives still. But certainly Montségur is haunted. It's haunted by any number of things. It's not just haunted by people. It's haunted by things that were never human to begin with, that were never alive. And if something's never alive, it can't really be dead either. It's elemental beings. I wouldn't even know what peg to hang half of it on. Many of the phenomena that we've observed up here fall into recognizable categories. UAPs, for instance, unidentified atmospheric phenomena. These mountains are full of iron, very high iron content, so attract insane electrical storms in the summertime. And I've seen lightning do things here which make no sense. Sheet lightning, ball lightning, lightning that just crackles around and stays up in the sky and never comes down and touches the ground. So certainly atmospheric and electrical phenomena, things moving and rushing around in the sky, sudden light changes, and alarming audio distortions. You can sometimes hear people talking down in the parking lot, right at the bottom of the mountain, as if they're standing next to you. But at the same time, somebody can be screaming your name right behind you up here, and you don't even hear them. Yeah, there's weird acoustics, both sound and light travel a little oddly. There's the solar phenomena that we get around the summer solstice, where somehow the arrow slits in the north-facing tower capture the sun's rays and channel them into these violently red strips of light, which somehow uses the Earth's atmosphere as a natural prism. So there's a bunch of different phenomena up here. And yeah, I presume we've got regular ghosts as well, because we've all heard them. And everyone up here has reported little ghostly things, tapping sticks on the battlement at night, ghostly footfalls, and chinking hammers is very common, and also scuffling and scratching sounds like people trying to climb the rocks in the dark, but which could be ghosts, that could be dead crusaders. But there's something more than that. There's something else going on here as well, beyond just unquiet phantoms. And the White Lady you refer to, mythologically, I guess, connects with this figure of the guardian of the Grail, this lady garbed in white samite, who keeps the the holy treasure. But I think you can also say that she is pretty much synonymous with the Lady of the Lake that gives Arthur the Excalibur, the true sovereignty of the land. And I don't feel that this Lady of the Lake figure is a ghost. She's something else. She's an expression of some form, some guardian goddess or guardian mother figure that has probably been here in the Pyrenees since time immemorial, and has found expression through various historical personages. In fact, here in Montségur, there's a very particular detail of Montségurian history, where we had 3 ladies here in 3 successive generations who all have the same name. This is Esclamond, the great Esclamond, Esclamond de Foix, Esclamond de Paray, and Esclamond de Allion. 3 Esclamonds. This name Esclamond no longer exists in our 21st century because the great Esclamond was such a huge pain in the ass to the Catholic Church that they basically erased all record of her from the history books. People stopped calling their children by that name. The name Esclamond means light of the world. Esclamond de Foix, you could probably translate the name as light of the world of the faith, because foi means faith.
Yeah.
This first great Esclamond, in fact, created this castle, created what we're sitting in. I believe there was already a ruin here by the early 13th century, but it was Esclamond who foresaw that bad times were coming and opened the treasuries of Foix to endow the refortification of the mountain and to create the citadel of Montségur, to create this place as a bastion to defend the persecuted heretics, to basically defend the underdogs who are getting the hell kicked out of them by the Holy Roman Church. So to some extent, she was the protective mother who created this place as a sanctuary or a last redoubt. But the funny thing about this first Esclamond is that although she was a very real historic personage, and we're part of a bloodline that descends into the royal bloodline of France, and we have her genealogy, and we know what happened to all of her children and the date she was married on, but there is no record of her death. She just effortlessly walks out of the pages of recorded history and vanishes into myth. We know she built this place where we are now. We know she came here, but after coming to Montségur, Esclamond disappears out of history. And in the myth, she is meant to have passed alive into the kingdom of heaven, to have transcended the material world, like the prophet Elijah or Christ, and that she allegedly never died, but was transformed into the dove, into the living symbol of her faith. So yeah, therein is already the mystery of this great Esclamond who never died, but lives still allegedly on some other channel. And then beyond that, this great Esclamond would presumably have been a very old lady if she'd been around in the time of the siege in her late 70s or 80s. There's the issue of her niece, Esclamond de Allion, not an initiated Cathar, who was maybe 38 years old at the time of the siege. The siege being the final stand against the Holy Roman Crusaders, basically, the King of France, which happened in 1244 when this place was besieged, and there was a 10-month siege which led to the fall of the castle. But yeah, the second Esclamond, 38 years old at the time of the siege, picked up a sword and donned man's armor to defend this place, to defend Montségur. And the third Esclamond, Esclamond de Paray, was maybe 9 years old at the time of the siege. As part of the ceasefire arrangement, she was given up along with her mother and the other Cathars to be burned alive at the foot of the castle on March 16th, 1244, when around 260 people were burned alive here in the largest mass burning of witches and heretics in European history. And this third Esclamond, Esclamond de Paray, allegedly a 9-year-old child, died on the fire that day. And although all 3 are historic personages, they conform to threefold goddess: the crone, the woman in her prime, and the innocent child, which are kind of like our very own Montségurian Trinity. And to some extent, this white lady is almost a fusion of all three historical personages, or possibly all three historical personages were an expression of that guardian force. It's a strange and unique thing, and it's super odd how history bleeds into myth.
Into myth, yeah.
Yeah. The second Esclamande also no record of her death. Again, just a legend that she was buried alive underneath the tableau. So, like, the legend is that they're not dead, but still sleep beneath the mountain. The last of the knights of Montségur and the last of the Cathars are still there beneath the mountain.
Yeah. I mean, the legend lives on, because I know that some people, especially like older people at the village, right at the bottom here, they talk about her, calling her the Ancient One.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is I didn't believe it when I first came here, because I was coming from the outside world and I was a skeptic. But the longer I've been here, the more clear it is that these legends don't come from nowhere and for no reason. There are forces at work in these mountains which continue to amaze me and leave me humbled.
I don't want to give too much detail, but there's a question that I want to ask anyway. Do you think that the Grail or the treasure of the Cathars are still in those mountains?
Well, of course, there's many cups to choose from. But here in Montségur, there's one particular Grail and one particular treasure beyond the issue of this lost book of the Cathars, the book of the Seven Seals. There is this issue of the Graal the black stone, the meteoric Grail. I don't think this has anything to do with the Cup of Christ at all. But more like the Arkenstone in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. I think this Graal was always the heart of the mountain, and was always here in the Pyrenees, in the Ariège, and may have been part of the treasures of the castle even before the Cathars came here. It was possibly always on the mountain. And this particular meteoric stone held in a sort of vase or cup carved out of a stalagmite was removed from a cave in the valley of the Ariège, just on the other side of that skyline over there, back in the 1930s by Otto Rhan and Anton Godal, his buddy, basically the sort of minister of tourism for the area. And they allegedly found this treasure along with other materials from the time of the Cathars back in the summer of 1930. And the Graal has been changing hands ever since. But I believe that as of recording this message, it is now back in the Ariège. And I believe that this particular relic, the meteoric stone in the stalagmitic vase, is currently in Tarascon, where I believe it is the subject of a legal battle between the Mairie of Tarascon and the Ritman family from the Netherlands. Stop me if I'm wrong, but yeah, the struggle to own or control the Graal continues into the present day and will doubtless continue into the future. But the long and the short of it is, I believe this relic is still in these mountains.
Okay. You have told me that you have a strong link with this place, whatever it be, like your introduction of the place with Otto Rhan or the Grail or the White Lady. After all those years, all the problems that I know you've been through, do you still feel this strong link?
Well, I still feel happy here. It feels good to be on the walls of Montségur, and I still feel protected by this place. I've always felt a very strong connection with the Pog, but the thing of it is everyone does, or at least a lot of people do. Yeah. It's very hard to come here and not feel that yourself magnetized by the mountain. And I think there's like a 2-week limit. If you're here longer than 2 weeks, it sucks you in, and
I'm still okay there.
you become part of the place. So I think the signal that it sends out is so strong that it actually overwhelms people's identities. Their identities crumble in the face of it. And a lot of folk believe that's because they were here in a past life. But I've been here 10 years in Montségur, and I can say that every summer we get 100,000 people coming here, many of them thinking that they're reincarnated Cathars. 260 burned on the fire in 1244, but thousands of people come here. We get multiple Esclamonds, multiple Raymond de Perez, people sincerely believing that they are the reincarnations of these historic personages. And I myself feel a very strong identification with at least one of the characters in the Siege of 1244. But I do believe that this may be the something like the morphogenetic field of the castle or of the other world overpowering the consciousness of the people and using our nervous systems to replay those memories and those emotions over and over again. It basically uses us humans like wetware to replay the program, which is something that may have happened 7 centuries ago or may still be happening on some other frequency. So you're here a week or 2 weeks, you start thinking, I really want to learn how to use a longbow. Or do you think I look good in chainmail? And ladies start dressing in medieval velvet dresses, and it starts to improve its field onto you. So yeah, it certainly it was very easy for me to feel this strong linkage to the story, and I think a lot of other people would doubtless feel the same if they came to this place. It's sort of a very powerful constant repetition, like a dream that always returns. And it also felt in those times when I've been closest to the apparition and closest to the forces at work in the castle, it feels more real than I do, which was the creepiest thing about it. I felt like the ghost or the shadow by comparison in their world, and the thing that was going on back 7 centuries ago felt more real in the 21st century. I started to think I was the dream. Yeah, the Esclamond, the people living in the castle 7 centuries ago were the reality. It was extremely disorientating. And yeah, I hear those kind of stories from a lot of people. A lot of people have I guess fluctuations of personality up here. When I take a tour group up, there's usually always 1 or 2 people who just sit down and start crying when they reach the top of the mountain and are no longer able to basically stay in emotional control. It's an extremely powerful place, and I think a place where a lot of different dimensions overlap. Maybe dimensions of time, but possibly there's something going on here which is outside of time that has some kind of non-linear access to our world.
Yeah, I don't want to steal some of the highlight of the book, but you had some sort of meeting with the White Lady. I'm more close to it.
Yeah, no, I saw the apparition. I saw the lady in the tower in 2007. It's we took a vote afterwards. We all sat around a fire and decided whether we should admit to it or not.
Yeah.
And we decided at the time that we would admit that it had happened. And it was better than trying to pretend it hadn't happened. But it's caused any amount of trouble. So I say this with apprehension. But it did convince me, it pulled me around, and I suddenly realized that a lot of what I'd assumed to be romantic fantasy was in fact true, and connected to some kind of paranormal phenomenon that after all these years I still don't even begin to understand.
Well, we won't say more about it, and if you want to know more about it, you have to get the book. Again, thank you very much.
Sir.
Yeah,
Good to be here. Yeah.
Good to be here with you. Awesome.
That after 7 centuries, it would be nice to see this war come to an end and to see the laurel finally turn green again.
Oh, wow, check that.
Most folk find it hard to fathom why someone like myself would choose to abjure the world, its 21st century conveniences and comforts, to deliberately live as a quasi-medieval hermit. Outsiders do not understand that I am above all happy here, although I do not advocate a wholesale retreat into a new dark age, there being things I hold dear about contemporary civilization, namely digital cameras, dentistry, anesthesia, analgesics, smallpox and polio vaccine. Nor would I wish to see a return to tribalism, feudalism, racism, sexism, and all the other isms beloved of our ancestors. I cannot agree with Otto Rhan and Baron Julius Evola's revolt against the modern world, nor can I condone the methods by which they sought to achieve their ends. The sons and daughters of the goddess, the neo-Cathars and neo-pagans of the days to come, the children of Belisama, Kybel or Gaia if you prefer, must reserve the right to choose their own future, to discard the shackles of patriarchal monotheism and materialism, while retaining for their own all that art, culture, and pure science has to offer, the liberatory potential of the technosphere, genetic engineering in the space program. As free princes of this post-industrial wasteland, cast up and left to flap like fish on the steel beach of the Anthropocene, it is our right, as much as a necessity, to call to our aid the knowledge of the ancients, or the true treasure of the ages, the magical science and the mystical discipline of our forefathers. We must reattune ourselves to the earth, to the old ways of hill and stream, while simultaneously demanding a new technology, an implosive technology that transcends explosive nuclear energy, a hardware that embraces the power of quarks, of quasars and quantum universes. Maybe we can make it to the next level, but it ain't easy, as Gilgamesh found out. We are nothing more than an energy wave, a frequency. Perhaps it's possible to change channels. Christ, like Nias Clamander or the prophet Elijah, is said to have entered alive into the kingdom of heaven. Other ascended masters are rumored to have existed over the centuries, and possibly continue to exert an influence over human affairs, guiding us in the ongoing struggle to liberate our consciousness by whatever means available. Someday, this war is going to end. Someday, the ceaseless chafing of spirit against matter, the endless dispute between light and darkness over who created who, will finally be resolved. And until then, if we're judged at all, we will be judged according to which force we give allegiance to. The vengeful god of the earth, the demiurge of the material world, or the other gods that exist beyond all this, whose names no human tongue can pronounce, the messengers of spirit in the true kingdom of heaven.
Suite à l'entrevue, nous sommes sortis de l'enceinte par la porte dite des dieux pour longer les vieux murs et aller rejoindre le donjon qui, juché tout en haut du POG, veille ainsi sur les montagnes depuis près d'un millénaire. C'est sans un mot que nous avons monté vers l'endroit, un peu comme si nous performions une sorte de rite initiatique, ou peut-être simplement conscients que nous entrions à l'intérieur d'un sanctuaire. Arrivé au cœur du donjon, c'est avec un silence respectueux que l'on s'est mis face à l'endroit où la Dame Blanche fit, au cours des siècles, ses apparitions. Malgré que l'ancienne se soit montrée discrète, ce fut comme si, par l'entremise de ce merveilleux coucher de soleil, elle nous bénissait de sa présence, partageant ainsi dans la forteresse de Montségur ses instants de paix et de sérénité. Et en fait, vivre sous l'aura du Graal, c'est peut-être justement le partage de ce genre de moments.